الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من أطاع الله ورسوله فقد رشد واهتدى ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا وسيجزي الله الشاكرين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم فإن تولوا فقل حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم صدق الله العظيم. My respected brothers and sisters, according to the calendar of the Fiqh Council of North America, today is the 11th of Rabi al-Awwal and tomorrow will be the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. According to some other calendars, Sunday will be the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. This is the time when the Muslim Ummah tried to commemorate the life, actions and the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As in Islam, we have got different mawasim, different seasons. We have got the season of fasting. Ramadan is the season of fasting. We have got the season of Hajj, Zil Hajjah and mashallah the other months, they are counted as Mawsim al-Hajj. The month of Rabi al-Awwal is the Mawsim al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the season of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And it is very unfortunate that as soon as the month of Rabi al-Awwal start, mashallah, the internet and the Muslim Ummah, they are somehow filled with controversies, fatwas after fatwas. Should we have the discussion about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the conferences or the lectures about the Seerat or Mowlid during this season or not? And it is very sad that instead of getting to the message, learning the essence of the seasons, we are wasting our time in something which is not relevant to the Ummah, relevant to the life of Rasulullah sallam, and relevant to the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My brothers and sisters, wallahi, if you go back to the Quran, you will see that Quran is talking about the significance of the prophets, and even the day some of the prophets were born, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them a special event, especially in Surah Maryam. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Sayyidina Yahya alayhi salatu wassalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَسَلَامٌ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمَ وُلِدْ وَيَوْمَ يَمُوتْ وَيَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. That peace be upon Yahya alayhi salatu wassalam, the day he was born, يَوْمَ وُلِدْ وَيَوْمَ يَمُوتْ, and the day he will die, وَيَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا, and the day he will be risen alive. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wassalam also. And on the tongue of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wassalam himself, وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. You people are accusing my mom, astaghfirullah, when they said, Ya ukhta Harun, ma kana abuki imra'a sawin wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya, fa asharat ilayhi, qalu kayfa nukallimu man kana fil mahdi sabiya. When they accused his mom of lack of chastity, and they asked her, where did you bring this baby? You are not married. She pointed to Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, and in the cradle he said, Inni Abdullah, Atani al-Kitab, وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. Peace will be, peace is upon me the day I was born, and the day I will die, and the day I will be risen again. So when these prophets, these messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come to this existence, those days and those nights are very special nights. And imagine, who are we talking about? Just Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, or Sayyidina Yahya alayhi salatu wassalam, or we are talking about Muhammadur Rasulullah, even the one whose qasam and whose name, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned with so much respect, that none of the other prophets even come closer to him. There's a hadith that when Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam brought the Buraq to take Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam for Isra and Mi'raj, fastasaba alayhi, the Buraq got excited, and the Prophet ﷺ had little difficulty riding it. Jibreel ﷺ said, Malaka ya Buraq. Oh Buraq, what's going on with you? Do you know who is this person who is riding upon you? Wallahi ma rakabaka akram indallahi minhu. None of the prophets or a human being, whosoever has ridden upon you, nobody is akram indallah, is more honored, respected and loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the person. And we are told in the hadith that the Buraq calmed down after that and never moved. So this whole concept of akram, that's where we say Rasulullah sallam is not only Mustafa, is not only Mujtaba. That's where we say Rasul Akram, the most honored Rasul and Prophet, Sayyid al-Mursaleen, Khatam al-Anbiya wal-Nabiyyin. So do you think when he comes into this existence, that night or that day is not a special event in this history? If you go back to the ahadith, you will see some of the special miracles took place on the day when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to this existence. So therefore, what should we do? We should not worry or hesitate talking about the life of Rasulullah sallam during these days. We should not worry about the actions of Rasulullah sallam. We should not worry about talking about the akhlaq and the message and the legacy of Rasulullah sallam. What we should not do is the bid'at and the khurafat and the kalimat shirkiyah, making him partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or raising him far beyond his status than Abdullah, the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it does not make sense to love him and then violate his commandment, to express our respect for him and then butcher his message by committing shirk. This is what is not allowed. But as long as those parameters are established and those boundaries are not violated, talking about the Habib alayhi salatu wasalam at any time of the year, at any moment of your life is ibadah, and actually the needed ibadah with many of us are missing. Yes, I know Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in did not have special Seerat al-Nabi programs. Rasulullah sallam did not initiate special Seerat al-Nabi program. But remember, my brothers and sisters, those were the people who were always in the presence of Rasulullah sallam, who loved him and respected him so much that they will never ever intentionally violate any of his sunnah, any of his actions, or in any way or form disrespect him and iota in their life. Unfortunately, we have gone so far from his message, and we have gone so much away from his actions and akhlaq, that majority of us have become the Muslim of Eid, or Muslims of Jummah. Other than these 2 days, perhaps, our connection with the Quran, with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the sunnah of Rasulullah sallam is very limited. And sometimes when the situation changes, some of the rules change. Remember one thing, Quran was not compiled in the life of Rasulullah sallam. It was not placed in one book. Because in the life of Rasulullah it was being revealed. Sahaba were memorizing it. But when the situation came that 800 of the Qur'an, the people who have memorized Quran, they were killed in the battle of Yamama. At that time the Sahaba felt the need that now the circumstances have changed. Even though when Rasulullah has not compiled it, and Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala kept on resisting the compilation of the Quran, giving the same argument, "Oh Umar, how can you force me to do something which Rasulullah did not do it?" If he wanted to compile the Quran and put it in one book, he could have done it. But he did not do it. Abu Bakr will not do it. But then Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala changed his mind because he saw the need. The circumstances have changed. So he did. And this is what Imam al-Sayyuti, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and even Ibn Kathir in the last book which he wrote in his life, Mowlid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that this is bid'ah hasana. And don't forget that Ibn Kathir is the student of Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi. He comes from the school of thought. In the last book he wrote, he says that this is a special day. This is the day of Nur, the day of Tajalli of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the day of Nur which He has given us to all the mu'mineen. So therefore, I would not like my brothers and sisters to get bogged down with these kind of discussion. I want my community to go to the message of Rasulullah sallam and learn some special lessons from this season, so that we can carry this message throughout our life. Additionally, we do talk about the sunnah and the ahadith of Rasulullah sallam, which are connected with our actions, with our akhlaq. But when we talk about Seerat al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam during these special seasons, I feel like we want to increase our iman with the person or the love of the shakhs al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the person of Rasulullah sallam. Wallahi, my brothers and sisters, look into your own lifestyle. Look into human concerns. When you love somebody, you respect that person, you want to imitate that person. You never talk about somebody or respect somebody or imitate somebody whom you don't love. So therefore, love is the beginning of that process, of that action, of that imitation and modeling or making Rasulullah sallam as our model. That's where Hubb al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Hubbillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of Rasulullah sallam and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the beginning of the iman. So during this process of talking about the person of Rasulullah sallam and the love to that person and special sense of awe with that person should make us increase our connection with him so that we can increase our imitation and following of his action. لِيَزْدَادُوا إِيمَانًا مَعَ إِيمَانٍ. We have got the iman, but we need to increase this iman to the level that it pushes us to action. And I don't want to talk about the beginning of the life of Rasulullah sallam today. I don't want to start this series from the birth and the actions and the nubuwwah of Rasulullah sallam. I want to start it where he left with, the last part of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I don't want to talk about what Sahaba said about him, or what Sayyidah Halima said about him, or Khadija said about him, or any human said about him. I want to start with the kalam of Rabbul Izzah. Because when you read the Quran, you are reading the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallam. Kana khuluquhul Quran. And who says that reading the Quran in the month of Rabi al-Awwal is not permitted or is bid'ah? Come on. What is the Quran without the person of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? How can you understand the Quran without understanding the Habib alayhi salatu wassalam? The manual Quran comes with the example. If you don't look at the example, the abstract will not make sense to you. So let's talk about the ayah of Surah At-Tawbah. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Subhanallah. According to some of the mufassirin or the teachers of ulum al-Quran, this is the last verse which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. And actually there is a riwayah from Yusuf bin Mahran and Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And the آخر ما أنزل من القرآن هاتان الآيتان. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala says that the last two verses which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed from the Quran, these are the last two verses of Surah At-Tawbah. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ. وقال أبي بن كعب رضي الله تعالى هما أحدث القرآن عهدا بالله. Ubay bin Ka'b radiallahu ta'ala says that the last two verses of Surah At-Tawbah are the last thing which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I know there are some other riwayat in which we are told that after Rasulullah sallam received al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum on the day of Arafah, the Hajjat al-Wida, then the last verse came from Surah Al-Baqarah, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. But this riwayah is authenticated by the later actions of Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in. You know, Zayd bin Sabit radiallahu ta'ala, he is assigned the responsibility of compilation of the Quran or bringing the Quran in the shape of one book. Sayyidina Abu Bakr assigned him responsibility. And you know what is his experience tell? He said, I have memorized the entire Quran and I knew who had the lawhat or the written parchments on which the Quranic verses were written, except the last two ayahs of Surah At-Tawbah. I did not know because they were revealed in the last period of Rasulullah's life, and when Rasulullah passed away, we got busy with his death and his burial, so I did not know where these were. Finally, I found them with Huzaymah bin Sabit radiallahu ta'ala, and I got it from him and I included them in the Quran. So, you can say that it is one of the last verses, even if it is not the last one. And remember, if you go back to the ayat of the Quran or the surah of the Quran, you will always see that the message of that surah is always summarized in some of the last portions of the Quran or last verses of the Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, when we start reading La yukallifullahu nafsan or Amana Rasul, you know how much importance we give it? Surah Al-Imran, the last 10 verses of Surah Al-Imran, Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafil layl, this is the summary of the entire surah. And sometimes we say that Qul huwallahu ahad is the summary of the entire Quran. That's where Surah Al-Quran, it is 1/3 of the Quran. So this is something, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is revealing something at the end part of Islam, you have to give some significance to it. Even if it is not revealed as the last part of the Quran, these are the last verses of Surah At-Tawbah. And you know what the hadith of Rasulullah says? al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, مَا نُزِّلَ الْقُرْآنُ عَلَيَّ إِلَّا آيَةً آيَةً وَحَرْفًا حَرْفًا مَا خَلَى سُورَةَ بَرَاءَ وَقُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. The Prophet ﷺ says that each part of the Quran was revealed to me word by word, ayah by ayah, except Surah Bara'a and Surah Qul huwallahu ahad. And he says, فَإِنَّهُمَا أُنْزِلَتَا عَلَيَّ وَمَعَهُمَا سَبْعُونَ أَلْفٍ صَفٌّ مِّنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. These were the two surahs. When they were revealed to me, they were not revealed by one. They were accompanied by 70,000 lines of angels. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam with Surah Bara'a or Surah Qul huwallahu ahad, He sent along with him 70,000 lines of angels. You can imagine the significance of what is being revealed. And that's what I want you to understand as a believer. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O people, I have sent you this Quran. I have sent you this message. In this Quran you have got hidayah, you have got nur, you have got ahkam, you have got akhlaq, you have got so much. But the gist of that Quran is this Rasul which I have sent to you. Kana khuluquhu al-Quran. He is the walking Quran. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ. Now, min anfusikum. There are two riwayat, two qira'at. In one qira'ah it is read, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ, which is kasra under sin. And the other qira'ah, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِنْ أَنفُسَكُمْ, fatha upon sin. And the meanings are two different meanings. And both of them are narrated from Rasulullah sallam, from Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in. The Mufassirin, they say that if you read it min anfusakum, it is from nafis. Yani abla fin nafas. What is min aktharikum ta'atan lillah? He is such a nafis, he is such the most, I would say, the best among you. He has revealed, he has sent to you Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the best among all the human beings. Afdalikum khulukan wa khulkan wa nasaba. When you look at his physique, when you look at his character, when you look at his nasab or family or genealogy, you will not be able to find a more refined human being than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. But if you recited لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ, this is what the Jumhur recited, it means that from among you, يعني من المؤمنين لم يصيبوا شيء من الشرك. Like you have got the iman, he had that iman from his childhood. He never committed shirk, even from the time he was born. Some of you might have committed shirk, but he was among the Hunafa. That some of you might have some of those out of wedlock. No. Muhammad sallam lam yusibu min wiladat al-jahiliyyah, min wiladat al-jahiliyyah shay. His parents never had any iota of that doubt. And then all of the Arab, whether people of Medina or Makkah or Taif, everybody, he has got some relationship with most of those tribes. But I want to quote one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu, because sometimes even this issue, because his parents were not Muslims. But remember, my brothers and sisters, Islam was not preached at that time. Whatever was preached, it was Hunafa. There was no prophet between Isa alayhi salatu wasalam and Rasulullah sallallahu. So sometimes I disagree with those people who somehow just dub Rasulullah's parents as mushrik, that these were the people of Jahannam. I really feel this is disrespect to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Are you seeing that the mother of Rasulullah sallam is Jahannami? The father of Rasulullah sallam is Jahannami? You are saying your father or somebody else's father or mother can be better than anybody else? I really feel this is too much taking into our own consideration. We leave those people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At their time, there was no message. Who knows, if there was a messenger, they might have accepted Islam. At the same time, out of our respect for Rasulullah sallam, we don't call those people any name. We just leave them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are the parents of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But anyhow, this is the hadith of Rasulullah, authentic hadith. When he heard some people are talking about his family, or something about his parents, or something about his family, Sa'ad al-Mimbar, فَحَمِدَ اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى وَأَثْنَى عَلَيْهِ. The Prophet ﷺ, he went to the Mimbar. It's happening in Medina. And he said, Man ana? Who am I? The people said, Anta Rasulullah. You are the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rasulullah. قال أنا محمد بن عبد المطلب بن عبد الله بن عبد المطلب إن الله تعالى خلق الخلق فجعلني في خير خلقي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the creation and he made me among the best of them. فَمِنْكُمْ كَافِرٌ وَمِنْكُمْ مُؤْمِنٌ. Either you have got kafir or you have got mu'min. And who is more mu'min than Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? وَجَعَلَهُمْ فِرْقَتَيْنِ فَجَعَلَنِي فِي خَيْرِ فِرْقَةٍ. He made them two groups, kafir and mu'min, made me among the best. وَجَعَلَهُمْ قَبَائِلِ فَجَعَلَنِي مِنْ خَيْرِ قَبِيلَةٍ. He made people into nations and tribes and made me among the best of the tribe. وَجَعَلَهُمْ بُيُوتًا فَجَعَلَنِي فِي خَيْرِهِمْ بَيْتًا. And he made among the Quraysh different households and he created me in the best of the household. فَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ بَيْتًا وَخَيْرُكُمْ نَفْسًا. My family, my household is the best one, and my progeny or genealogy is the best one. In the other hadith, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى Istafa min wuld Ibrahim Ismail. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose from the children of Ibrahim Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. And from Ismail he chose Banu Kinana. And from Banu Kinana he chose Quraysh. And from Quraysh he chose Banu Hashim. Wa istafani min Bani Hashim. And he chose me from the Bani Hashim. The chosen of the chosen of the chosen of the chosen. This is what is the meaning of Istafa. Mustafa, Mujtaba, the elected, the selected, the chosen. All of these things, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ. This is his nasab. This is his shan. This is his person. But in spite of all of this honor and glory, what is the essence of his personality? Azizun alayhi ma anittum. He does not worry much about himself or about his family. He is too much worried about you folks. Azizun alayhi ma anittum. The ummah of Muhammad sallam, he is more worried than anybody else. When you get sad, he becomes sad. When you are happy, it makes him happy. When you suffer, he suffers. Actually, you go to sleep, he keeps on standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, crying for your guidance. Allahumma hadi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Ya Allah, guide my nation, they do not know. You try to kill him, you try to crucify him, you make him suffer, you break his teeth. And some of the Sahaba say, Ya Rasulullah, please pray for them, curse them, Ya Rasulullah. And he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send me as la'an. Ma bu'ithtu la'ana. Azizun alayhi ma'anitum, harisun alayhi. Not only that, it bothers him if anything is hard for you, sharp on you. Harisun alayhi. As you know, hirs in Arabic language could be positive or it could be negative. When you say somebody is haris, you know, very greedy. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used this one as the positive sifa of Rasulullah sallam. Harisun alaykum. He is so greedy about your iman, about your falah dunya wal akhirah, about your success in this life and in the life to come, that he goes far beyond the established norms. لَعَلَّكَ بَاخِيٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to come and tell him, "Oh Muhammad sallam, are you going to kill yourself just because these people do not believe? لَعَلَّكَ بَاخِيٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ." He is concerned. He is about everybody's iman. He is very greedy. But when it comes to the mu'mineen, the believers, he is ra'ufur rahim. He is full of ra'fa, shafqa, compassion, and full of mercy. And I want to stop here because the time is short. But I want you to go back and reflect upon these two words. Bil mu'minina ra'ufur rahim. As you know, the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are specified to Allah. And Ra'uf and Rahim, these are the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَكِنْ أَعْطَاهُ اللَّهُ إِسْمَيْنِ مِنْ إِسْمِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored him with two of his beautiful names. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ra'uf Rahim, he is witnessing that his Habib alayhi salatu wa salam وَبِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ Ra'uf Rahim. When it comes to the Mu'mineen, he is Ra'uf Rahim, and I'll expand upon that in the next Jummah khutbah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the proper sense of who Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with his proper love, the love which can force us and push us to do the things which he has approved of and to stop from the things which he has told us not to perform or not to do. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.